Hello, my enlightened ones. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, thank you for stumbling across us tonight. We're going to have a very, very crazy night. Let me just change the music over here. It's a little something. So as you can see, there's already things kind of buzzing around my face right now. So I haven't even given their gifts yet. So I haven't called them in yet. I was going to do a ritual, but I want you to see my room before. And then I want you to see as I call them in what starts to happen in my room, okay? If you guys watch the ritual that I did, the abundance ritual that I did, you actually see the fairies start to come into the room, and it's really crazily insane. So I'm just going to just jump over to chat really quick so I can say hi to some people here. Selena, welcome. Jasmine, my mod. Sarah, my heart and soul. Shane is in here with us as well. I think he's hiding out somewhere. I believe Carrie is here or maybe coming in. We may have some others that will be stopping by. Hopefully, I think Adam was supposed to come in tonight as well. So, well, this is going to be fun. Um, Fairies came into our life back when Sarah and my youngest, all my children were children. They're all adults now. Probably about 15 years ago or so, fairies came into my life. As I told you about my daughter's heart problem, I was doing spells and rituals, and we noticed things were disappearing. We'd put out rose petals. My friend Tina will testify to this. She was actually living in adjacent to the apartment on our old farmhouse, and she was doing a love spell. And Hannah was sleeping in her crib. She was 2 years old. Sarah and the rest of the kids were at school, and she came in and asked me if Hannah was in her side of the apartment. Oh, one just went up. And I said, no, she's sleeping. And she says, that's weird because I have rose petals on my plate and they're disappearing and berries are being left in the place of the rose petals. So that was quite intriguing. So from there, we started to explore fairies and the elementals, and what a magical world that was. These beings are small. They're big as humans. They're even bigger than humans. I actually have one that's about 10 foot tall, but I wanted to get my best photos in there. And we did an elemental forest video about a year or so ago on Sarah Sinister's channel. And the cool thing is that something told me to go back through the pictures. And I went through the pictures, and lo and behold, I found Lycan. Lycan is an elemental. He is the elemental of earth. He is like a little gnome. He always draws himself with a hat. I have a drum back here. I also have my book that's here as well. I have collected things. They've given me gifts, feathers, bark, you name it, herbs. And my children will test to all of this stuff. I'm not totally crazy. So we got a lot of fun things to get going on here tonight. So what I want to show you here is that I do have, okay, and why isn't it working, Shane? It was working a minute ago. All right, something's going on here. I gotta figure out what's going on. Anyway, are you trying to sign in? What is, go away. What are you doing here? I'm trying to, there's something popping up from Google. Here we go. Give me 1 second, guys. How do I add it back in? Or is it added in? I'm good. Okay. So what I wanted to show you, I'm going to pull me out. Can you hear me now, guys? Are we good? Sorry about that. I shut this one off, so are we good? Can you hear me, Shane? Okay, super. All right, so let's start over again. So we have cream here. This is one of their favorites. We have honey, we have butter. These are Swiss rolls, which are their favorite. They love cake and cream. Just some fresh fruit here. There's some candy. I will warn you that I have my doors closed. There's one closed there, and the other one is closed over there. Whoops, one just shot by. The reason why is because sometimes they'll throw something to let me know that they're around. So a candy may go flying across the room. So if something goes flying, I want you to know these doors are closed. And what I did here, these are elemental jars because what I want to do here is I'm welcoming them in each one. This is actually air. It actually has a turkey feather in it from today, as well as citrine and sodalite. This would represent earth, of course, green in color. We have salt, Apache tear I have in there. I also have a rose quartz because that represents everything. And there's a few other elements that are still, I mean, there are a few other items in there. And here we have, this is representing water. I have a shell in here that my granddaughter actually gave to me. In fact, this fairy house, I have to point out, is a beautiful fairy house that she actually made for me. It even has a balcony going on over here, which is kind of crazy. And whoops, this guy's a little drunk over here, I think. So anyway, so this is just a little fairy house. So these are their elemental bottles. So, and this one, of course, represents fire. Garlic represents fire. Pepper represents fire. Cinnamon as well, and tiger's eye as well. So all these are all elemental jars for these. So these are for each one of the fairies. So I'm going to set the camera back up over here. Make sure you guys can see me okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Earth. I'm going to uncap Earth and just set it here. I'm going to untap air, water, and fire. Okay. So over here, you can see, are some few things that I've kind of put together. I have a dehydrator. I dehydrated some apples. Shane went out and got me some pine cones, so I painted them and added little sparkles on here. There's apple on here and a few other things. So this is like a giving tray. This is just thanking them for abundance, and I wanted to share that with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a moment in this time and in this hour. I call upon my elemental power. A fairy, gnome, and fae, please come on in on this day. Please come and partake of these gifts I serve to you. I wish for you to come forth and bless us with your presence. Okay, so I'm going to sit back down. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Hey, I'm back. Sorry. I'm going to keep the camera going on over there. Thank you. Sarah just came down. I'm not used to playing with dual cameras here. I'm not the techie person. So my apologies. So let's try this again. Okay. What is an elemental? Elementals are supernatural entity or force brought to be physically manifested by occult means. Gods and elementals looked upon as worshippers. Okay. So I'm going to read a little thing here on elementals and how they came to be and how they got discovered. And there goes another one right now. So keep watching over by the fairy house while I tell my story. Okay. So an elemental being is a mythical being, and I'm going to say mythical because they're real. They are real. All right. Being that is described in occult and alchemic works from around the time of European Renaissance. The book on nymphs, sylphs, pygmies, and salamanders, among other spirits. Paracelsus was a Swiss physician, philosopher, alchemist from German Renaissance. According to, we're going to call him Dr. P, okay? So I don't have to keep saying his name. According to Dr. P and his subsequent followers, there are 4 categories of elementals. You have your gnome, which is of earth. You have your undines, mermaids, which are your under the water beings. That's how we remember undines, under the water, okay? Sylphs, which are not fairies, by the way, okay? Sylphs are beings with butterfly wings, okay? They are the element of air, okay? And then salamanders. Salamanders are the element of fire. You cannot light a fire without the spirit of a salamander being there. And this is a true story. It won't happen, okay? So, anyway, these correspond to the 4 elements of integrity: earth, water, air, and fire. Terms employed for beings associated with alchemic elements vary from source to source, okay? I'm sharing with you a gift of this wonderful, these little spirit beings coming into my house. And there goes another one. Oh, there's another one. I call them and there they come. So these are wonderful, wonderful beings. I actually moved a bunch of plants in my room. Believe it or not, every plant in your house has a fairy or 2 or 3, and you're going to see pictures of them. I have them. So they're really, really amazing beings. And this is all personal to us. We have, these things are very forceful, as meaning that there's no limit to their energies. And I'm going to go over the powers that they have. I've been kicked in the butt by one, and I thought Sarah kicked me, and it wasn't Sarah. So I got kicked with the force of a human being. So playfully, of course. They've taken my phone. They've done so many jokes to us. They're very playful. When fairy is in the room, you can usually tell because you get giddy like a child. They bring in that drunken energy. They feed every time I set up a sacred circle, which I did not do tonight, but every time I set up a sacred circle, they are the first ones that come into my circle because I call in the elementals, and they come in, and they always come in. They never disappoint. The elements of earth, water, and air and fire were classed as the fundamental building blocks of nature. This system prevailed in classical world and was highly influential in medieval natural philosophy. Although Dr. P uses these foundations in the popular pre-existing names of elemental creatures, he is doing so to present new ideas which expand on his own philosophical system. The homunculus is a perfect little tiny being, okay? The homunculus, that would be your pygmies, okay, is another example of being the roots in earlier alchemy, scientific, and folklore traditions. The following is the archetype being for each of the 4 elements. Gnome, as I said, being of earth, undines being of water, sylphs being of air, and salamanders being of fire. Okay, I'm going to take a break right there, and I just want to run over here. Hello, Chris. Welcome. I'm so glad that you could come and hang with us tonight. And beautiful Jasmine's here, and Shane and Selena. I'm so happy you got to come over and sneak over and be with us tonight. And of course, our lovely Sarah Sinister is here. So everybody's holding down the fort. So you like it so far? Okay. So keep watching for the fairies, okay? This isn't going to take long, and then I'm going to jump into the real exciting stuff. I'm just kind of waiting for people to kind of drift in if they're going to, okay. Dr. P, He regarded them not so much as spirits, but as beings between creatures and spirits, generally being invisible to mankind, but having physical and commonly humanoid bodies, okay, as well as eating, sleeping, and wearing clothes just like human beings. Another one just went by the head of my bed. That was an awesome one. Thank you, guys. So they eat, they sleep as we do. Their timing and their death, and of course, they live longer than we do, but I'll get into that in a moment. So wearing clothes just like humans. Dr. P gave common names for the elemental types as well as correct names, which he seems to have considered somewhat more proper. He also referred to them by purely German terms, which are roughly equivalent to water people, mountain people, and so on, using all the different forms of interchangeably. Sorry, I'm tongue tied. Oh, that was a good one. Did you see that? It went that way and then it went back up. Thanks, guys. Why don't you come right in front of my camera and just say hi? Can you fly in front of my camera and say hi? Right here. You can do it. Okay. These beings, known as elementals, were said to be longer lived than man, but cease to exist upon death, which means when they die, they don't have an immortal soul as us human beings do. That's the belief, okay? However, if the elemental were to wed a mortal, ooh, this is where it gets interesting, they would become immortal themselves, but the human itself will lose its immortality. So there's a trade-off there, okay? For an elemental were to wed an immortal being, the immortal being would gain the mortality of the elemental. So that means you will die and not have an eternal soul. All right. One of the conditions of joining the Rosicrucians, okay, the Rosicrucians were people that worshipped elementals and deities, okay? So it was a vow to them to take a chastity of waiting for fairy to marry them. How crazy is that? Why work with elementals? This is where it gets good. Working with the magic of an elemental is simple form of summoning magic. Unlike working with dragon magic, this form, which that will be another class, this form is ideal for beginners and also for more experienced witches who wish to improve magic with the 4 elements of nature. We work with what's called the Tuatha Dé Danann. Okay, at this point, I'm going to mention there is a Seelie court. Those are the good fairies. And then there is an unseelie court. Those are the bad fairies. Okay. The bad fairies can kill your cattle, sour your milk, make your life a living hell. Okay. The good fairies, they're healers. And I'm going to tell you some of their magical attributes here. Animal communication. They communicate with animals. Fairy whispers. Flight. They can fly with wings or as energy through the air, which I have pictures of them and you will see them in a moment. Photokinesis means they can control light. Okay, and you're going to see that in another little short video I have of a little tiny sprite buzzing around. Okay. Photokinesis, they control light and have the power over nature. Some have the power to generate light from their own bodies as angelics do. And that's my theory. Okay, shape-shifting. They have the ability to shape-shift. Yes, if you've ever had a bird come near you and you feel, I don't think you're quite a bird, the odds are it's probably a fairy. And invisibility, and I do have a picture of that, but I'm not going to show it to you because it's invisible and you can't see it. So my point here is about these lovely, lovely beings, and I also have a voice recording of one of them, and this voice recording is about 15 to 18 years old, so it's quite old. So I had to, you'll hear it when I do play it for you. You're going to hear my tape recorder click because that it was on a regular cassette tape. That's how old. Okay, but I recorded it over to my phone, so we will be sharing that in a moment. Okay, so the Tuatha De Danann. Okay, this is who we work with. This is who is part of our lives. So I'm going to talk to you about the Tuatha De Danann, and it will not take long at all. Okay, the Tuatha De Danann, Irish meaning the folk of the goddess Danu. Danu is the Irish goddess. Okay, also known by earlier name Tuatha, which means tribes of the gods. And this is it's really going to get crazy on you, because if you're into medieval stuff and you like kings and queens, you're about to love this. Okay. Tribes of the gods are supernatural race in Irish mythology. Many of them are thought to represent deities of pre-Christian Gaelic Ireland. This is my belief, that because the fairies, as you're going to see them, I have some in color. They always show themselves in color, okay, as my angelics do. And I really believe that they're just smaller beings of angelics. They're here to manipulate energies of the earth and Mother Gaia and to help things. This is what they actually tell me. When I'm going to mow the lawn, they tell me to warn them, because they pull the energy back into the ground. So when I cut the tops of the grass, the energy is just not leaching out and going willy-nilly everywhere. That's insane. It really is, to think that that's how it works. But it is how it works. And the number one thing that fairies hate: iron. They don't like iron. Think of it. Every man-made machine is made of what? Iron. Every man-made machine does what? Destroys. It cuts down trees. It levels forests. It so forth and so on. Yes, this farming equipment, that's good. But yes, fairies do not like iron at all. It's not their thing. Okay, so the Tuatha De Danann are often depicted as kings, queens, druids, bards, they like to sing, warriors, heroes, healers, that's who I work with, and craftsmen who have supernatural powers. They keep court as the kings of old, having kingdoms of 4 cardinal points. Now, I want to say the Tuatha De Danann that we deal with comes from the north, okay? And their flower is the blue iris. That represents, it's on their flag, that represents their north corner. So that's who we deal with in the 4 kingdoms, is the north. So that's the ones that contacted us and started taking our rose petals. Okay. All right. Just let me continue on here just for a moment here. All right. They dwell in the other world. Okay, the other world it's in the 4th dimension, and it lays right on top of ours. And in the other world too, there's underworld goes down from that as well. But they interact with humans in the human world, as they're doing right now, as you see them zipping by. They are associated with the Sidhe. This is pronounced she, not said he. All right, she. Prominent ancient burial mounds. This is where I have a lot of land cleansings and issues, because people get in their land and they start expanding and they see a big mound and they say, hey, I'm going to level that. And that's where the haunting starts, because you're pissing off the fairies, and you're also pissing off Native Americans. That could be a burial ground for a Native American, and that's very sacred to the Fae as well, okay? These burial mounds, which are entrances to the other world realms, their traditional rivals are the Fomorians, okay, who might represent the destructive powers of nature, to whom the Tuatha De Danann defeated at the Battle of Mag. Okay. The prominent members of Tuatha De Danann, the Dagda. Dagda means great God, okay? I say good God, same thing. The Morgan, that's the great queen or phantom, and we will be discussing a couple queens that I know of, and I have pictures of them as well. Queen Moon, Lu. Now, if you go back to the Wheel of the Year, one of the Sabbats is Luna Star. Lu, which is the god of the sun to them, okay? Bridget, and there's a few others, which is a healer. The Smith, we're going to get into your Tommy knockers and all these lovely beings. You're going to know them when I'm done with you. Three gods of the craft, which was the Tri-Didana. That means the three gods of the craft. You're also going to meet the three godmothers tonight, and yes, they're real too. In fact, a lot of your fairy tales and stuff are based around these elemental beings. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The Seven Dwarfs were Tommy knockers. They go and dig out jewels. That's what they were. Okay, so a lot of Disney's in folk stuff comes from actual real stories, believe it or not. Medieval texts talk about the Tuatha De Danann. They were written by Christians. Sometimes they explain the Tuatha as fallen angels, and this is my belief, who were neither holy, good, nor evil, or ancient people who became highly skilled in magic. But several writers acknowledge that at least some of them had been gods. Some of them have been multiple names, but in the tales, they often appear in different characters. Originally, these probably represented different aspects of the same deity, as you have the main mother in Crone, in Hecate, okay? She has three forms. You will find this a lot with the elementals as well. The Tuatha De Danann eventually became the Ashi. That didn't sound right. The Ashi. Or fairies, or later folklore, okay? That's what that word means. So the Seelie Court and the Unseelie Court, I just basically just told you about them. So let's get to the good stuff, shall we? Okay. I'm going to jump over the chat. I don't want to be rude for a minute here. Michael, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to Meadow Inu. Ah, that's my daughter, Hannah. Hannah will attest to these fairies being in our lives. This is my youngest daughter. This is the one I told you about, that the fairies helped me with her little heart problem, and she's wonderful now. Welcome, Hannah. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so excited. Come on, jump back over to StreamYard now. Okay. The elements. Your birthday. Please find your element on your birthday. Please, please, please look to the middle. The middle, you have the fire. You have the earth, you have water, and you have air. Please find your sign and remember what your element is. I am water. I am the moon child, okay? So I wanted to show you this because this is going to, remember we discussed the Sabbats of the year, okay? This is the 8 Wiccan wheel of the year, okay? And guess where it came from? It came from Celtic, okay? This is your wheel of the year right here, okay? Lunasta, Beltane, Litha, Mabon, as we're going into right now, is Yule. But you can see this is where this all came from. And I did briefly touch on the Unseelie and the Seelie Court. You can see the difference from this picture. Okay, so this is where it's going to get fun. So the Tuatha De Danann, and this is the tribe that we are actually working here. And I'm about to blow your minds, guys. All right, remember I said that there's 4 kingdoms. And the 4 kingdoms of the Tuatha De Danann. One represents the spear, wands, clubs in the deck of cards. Do you see where I'm going with this? Next one represents pentacles, diamonds, that's stone. Sword represents spades in the deck of cards. The cauldron represents hearts. Now, if you come down to the third, wands, pentacles, swords, cups, what do we have, people? What do we have? Your oracle cards. Your oracle cards come into play here. They invented the oracle cards. Now I'm going to go over just a couple little things with you. This is one being here. This is called the changeling. I might have to, there we go. The changeling, they make a golem out of magical properties in elements from the earth, and they create a little baby, and they want that human baby of yours. This isn't these guys. This is the Unseelie Court, okay, that does this. And supposedly in Ireland, they believe that if you have a child that's dying, the odds are that your child was taken to the fairy world. What they do is they leave a changeling in its place, and the changeling will only live for about 3 days, and then it'll start to get sick and die as the magic wears away. But the fairies are safely gone away with your baby, and you think your baby's died, and you bury the baby. So that's the Unseelie Court. That's not so nice. This is Queen Mab. Queen Mab. There we go. I want you to know too, I linked tarot card link down to the bottom here through Amazon. You can actually buy this deck of cards with the book if you want to purchase it yourself. Queen Mab, she's supposedly older than time, so that's kind of crazy. The Will-O-Wisp. If you're ever in the woods and you see lights in the woods, let me turn this down just a hair. There we go. Now you can see it better. Okay, so this is the Will-O-Wisp. Okay. The Will-O-Wisp, if you see lights, they will, the bad Seelie, or the Unseelie Court, okay, will put lights and you chase them off into the woods, and the next thing you know, you're lost and you don't know where you are. So that is the Seelie Court there. They don't look so nice now, do they? So that's the Seelie Court. This is the Blue Hag. I also call her the Holly Hag. She rules in wintertime. This is when she's coming in. She'll come in on Yule. I got more orbs going on behind me over there. Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay, that is supposedly Excalibur that she's holding there. When the wizard died, she was given Excalibur. She's actually the sister, supposedly, to the Sword in the Stone. What was the name of the wizard? Tell me! I forget. I got so much stuff in my head. I love you too, Hannah. So anyway, Sarah, Hannah would know. Hannah, what's the name of the wizard in the Sword in the Stone? I know you know. Okay. So, lost my place over here. Jumping back. Banners. Okay. All right. So the next one, I'm just going through a couple of these. Of course, everybody's kind of familiar with the lovely Banshee. Supposedly, she appears to those that are a Celtic or Celtic origin. If someone in your family is due to die, they'll actually cry outside your window, as a Banshee does. Skip over that one. The Selkie, there's actually a story I know about a Selkie. Not personally, but the Selkie is a form of mermaid, but it has seal of a skin. And supposedly some fisherman caught a Selkie in his trap and brought her home and took her skin away so she couldn't go back to the ocean. And he made her marry him, and he had children with her. And then I guess several years went by, and the kids and her were playing hide and seek, and one of the children found her skin in a trunk up in the attic, and she grabbed it and she went back to the sea, never to be seen again. All right, so these are the beautiful godmothers I told you about. Okay, there's 3 of them. Okay, one comes at the beginning of your birth. Okay, she measures out your life in a tape measure. Okay, the second one comes, as you can see, at the time of when you wed or when you're about to have a child. She comes in to bless the child. That's why there's a cradle in front of her. And the very last one over here, if you notice, you got a pair of scissors in her hand. She's there to cut your etheric cord to release your body when you actually die. So that's kind of crazy. So I just wanted to show you the Fashan. The Fashan is a cool little character. We've actually talked with him on an elemental Ouija board that I do have. He is very, very sweet. He has one arm, one leg, one eye, of course his nose, and his mouth, and he hops. He hops around, okay? But he's a very gentile and sweet thing. And I'm going to move on now because I don't want to go and bore you with all these cards because I have some really crazy stuff to show you guys. Okay. So this next picture here, this is actually 2 fae fairies, whatever you want to call them. And I'm going to show them to you in little tiny people form in a second. Okay, little tiny people form in a second. All right, on my water fountain. Okay, so this is Gazelle is the blue and Katrina is the pink. And now I'm going to show them to you. Here they come. Okay, look at this. Can you see them standing there on the leaf? This is a great time to take your phones out like you're going to take a picture and zoom in, and you can actually see their faces. You can see the fur on the collar of their neck. You can see the fur on the collar of her sleeve. Chris, Meta is my other daughter, Sarah's other sister, Hannah. She is in Kentucky right now. So if you guys can zoom in, but you can see their colors. If you notice, Katrina, who's in the front, she's pink. And Gazelle in the back is in blue. And the crazy thing is we actually asked them what their names were. And they also told us their ages. Believe it or not, I believe Katrina was 1900 years old, but that's not in our lifetime. It's in their lifetime, which is actually longer. And 900, I believe, was Gazelle. Gazelle was Gazelle. So that's kind of crazy. All right, the next pictures, and please know, and my children will attest to this, I did not take any of these pictures. They were on the camera after we left out offerings for the fairies. And this is crazy. This is one here. This is showing itself. They're so high vibrational in frequency, okay? That's why you it looks a little blurry and stuff, but you can see the colors, and you can see the wings are green and the body on it is red. Now let's look at the next one. The next one, the body is orange and the wings are green. That's insane. This was in my kitchen. And Sarah will attest to this. She was here. We've actually had bread fall from the ceiling and just come out of nowhere when we were making a sandwich. They can do crazy stuff. The next one, this is up on the ceiling. You can actually see the stucco on my ceiling. This is purple body with bright pink wings, okay? That's just crazy. So that is the typical, when you talk about fairy and their energy, that's their energy, okay? This is their energy, okay? So when people ask me, how do you see angels? That's how I see them is colors. I get either a blur of color in my head, behind my third eye, or I'll see something just peripheral vision, of course, just kind of snap by. Now, the next picture, you're going to want your phone for this one. Zoom in. At the very, very top, this is Relo and Chessie. This is my house plant. I lightened it up so you could see their faces because they're hidden in the shadow there. That is my wind chime that's hanging off my plant there. I believe this was a snake plant or a mother-in-law's tongue plant. All right, and if you look at the very top, you can actually see faces if you look into the dark areas. Do you see them? There's a couple of them in there. It's going to get better, guys. Trust me. It's just going to get better and better from here. Okay. This next picture is a picture that Shane took. This was outside his house, I believe, here in Maine. You can actually see, I don't actually see wings there. I see an arm. I see legs. Some of these beings do not have wings because if you go back to this picture here where they're standing on my fountain, do you see wings? I don't see wings. It's possible that they could be folded, but I don't see wings there. Anyway, so that was one that Shane took. If you don't think I'm crazy, you're really going to think I'm crazy now. Leprechauns are real. I have pictures of them too. Here they come. This is Seamus and Petrel, okay? Seamus is the one that's kind of peeking out from behind the tree. It's blurry, but you can see Petrel really good in the back. He's got like a chapeau on his head. He's got a white collar. He actually has a shillelagh, which is a crooked stick that goes up in front of his face. Do you see it? He looks like a little boy almost. Seamus is, if you go right to the tree, that dark tree to the left, of Petrel, you'll actually see Seamus. Seamus was just materializing coming out of the tree. But this I want you to look at really closely, guys. To the left of that dark tree, there's an invisible spirit standing there, and you can see the outline of it. You can actually see it. It's got its hand on its hips if you look. Do you see that? It has its hand on its hips. I wish I could point to the area where it is for you guys. Can you see that? It's just so crazy. But right to the left of that darkened tree, where those 3 sticks go into the darkened area, on the middle stick is where his feet begin. And if you go up from there, you can see his legs going up, and then it goes into the forearm where it's bent, and you can go up into the body, and you can actually see his head if you go up a little bit higher. So that's kind of crazy. Now, this next picture that I'm about to show you. Hello, my fairies. Welcome. Feel free to play and do what you want. Okay, so this next picture that I'm about to show you was taken in the backwoods of another house that I lived at. This is where we did the elemental video from, and that's where these next 2 pictures, they're crazy, and I love them, and they're amazing. You can see all the faces here. Go in and pick out the ones you want. In fact, the purple in the middle, I made that one purple for a reason. There's 2 there. There's one that's like an ogre in the front, and then to the side of him, there's like an elf thing. You can see his little pointy ear, you can see his forehead, you can see his little chubby cheek, his nose, and his chin. And then up from there, you can see all the other faces. So these are all elemental beings, okay? You're going to want your phone for this next picture, because I think this is the best picture I've ever seen of an elemental being, and we took it and we got it, and yeehaw. So in this picture, you're going to see the legs of Sarah's camera, and this goes to prove that it's our picture, okay? Here we go. You're going to want your camera for this. Pay attention. This is Lycan, and I'm going to play his voice for you in a second. Can you see him sitting on that piece of grass right there, right underneath that orb? If you zoom in, you can see his arm, you can see his legs, you can see that he has a hat on his head. You can see his little face. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to play this video for you twice. And the reason why I'm going to play it twice is because the first time I'm going to play it, okay, the first time I'm going to play it, you're going to hear the tape recorder go on, and I'm not going to tell you what you're hearing, okay? So I hope you guys can hear this, and then after it's done playing, I'm going to tell you what it said, and then I'm going to play it again so you can hear it again, okay? So here we go. That's the tape player. Hang on. Okay, so what I heard is you hear whispering at the very, very beginning. I don't want to take that picture down because I want you guys to really look into that picture. There's actually more things going on in that picture, but he was just so incredible. Oh my God, he's amazing. I have even closer up pictures of him too, but it pixelates out, unfortunately. So on this tape, what it says is whispering. And then it goes, Kathy. I was asking them the question, how do I see you? And they went, Kathy, see us in your dreams. Okay. So I'm going to play it one more time. First, the whispering. Kathy, in your dreams. See us in your dreams. So that's kind of crazy. So I'm going to take that down. Okay. So there's a couple things that they believed. If you can find a hagstone, I'm trying to find mine here. I just had it here. There it goes. If you can find a hagstone is a stone with a natural hole through the middle of it. Okay, this is actually wood. I'm not going to pass it off as a stone. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, my hagstone's actually at my mother's house in my shaman cabinet. But they believe that at sunset, as the sun's starting to go down, if you look through the peak hole, you can actually see into the fairy realm, because the fairy realm lays right on top of ours. So that's really kind of crazy there. So what do you guys think so far? All right. So my little fairies, my beautiful little beings of light. I'm going to turn my light back on. That will help. I'm going to turn it really bright. There we go. All right. Thank you, Hannah. Greatly appreciate that. I do have, if you guys can just give me a second, I can actually pull over a couple more pictures for you. I'm only allotted so many in here. So let me just jump over and just grab a couple more pictures, because they're really, there was a couple other ones I wanted to share with you that I couldn't. Okay, let's see here. That's not what I want to do. Just talk. So talk amongst yourselves. Look for fairies. All right. Elementals. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to pull. Oh, this one, Shane took this one the other night, and I thought this was really interesting because this thing looks like it has horns. I believe this is an imp. Yes, imp. This would be of the Unseelie court. You can actually see the red at the top of his head, and he looks like he's got little tiny horns going up there. So that I'm going to leave that up there while I pull up another one. So that's she actually got a couple pictures of him. This is another one. There he is again. And keep in mind, this isn't a bug. It's less than 20 degrees outside, and it was nighttime, so it was even colder than that. So that is not a bug. Oh, the fairy just flew behind me. That's kind of cool. All right. So, and let me get rid of those. All right. And let me pull up another cool little picture that I have. Oh, this one I thought was interesting. This one I didn't put up because people are going to say, oh, it's just the top of the grass. But if you actually go in with your phone and go into that picture, that's actually another little being that's sitting on the grass, and he's got a hood on, like he's wearing a hoodie. So that is actually another little being there. I'll leave him up for a second so you can study him. I showed you those, that, and that. So, yeah. So these tarot cards, all right, this is from the tarot deck. It's called the Fairy Ring deck. I have linked it in case it'd be a great Christmas present for somebody. I don't like using the deck, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it can be pessimistic as well as positive. There's creatures in there that are not so nice. Here, let me show you a couple of them. Let's see here. Okay, we got to see. Oh, being puka ridden. That's another one. If you ever see a fairy horse, don't go on it and don't get on its back, because it's going to take you for a ride. It's called being puka ridden. They'll never hear from you again. This is the bad guy here. Oops, let me kill the light a little bit here. There we go. So this is called the Bogart. The Bogart, when he appears in your cards, he means that somebody's trying to deceive you, and that something is presenting itself, but it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. As I said, mermaids, undines. I have to show you my book, and it's buried probably. Did I bury it? Oh, I did. My computer's on top of it. I have a fairy book that we created, and I need to get it up. So I need to, I gotta dismantle you guys for a second here. I'm about to lose you. That's what's gonna happen. Here, let's pull this out. Ah, there it goes. I got my book. Earthquake! Fairies, help me! Yeah, watch the fairies. They're moving. I can see them. trying to grab my book. There we go. Okay. We are back in business. Sorry about that, guys. A little unorganized there. Okay. This is a book I was actually creating with my daughters. These are things, and I have the actual pictures that you were actually looking at earlier. This is the book. In fact, they wrote, I love you over here. Oh, there goes a fairy right there. And they actually wrote, I love you here. We didn't do that. Oh, there goes another one. The coloring, they're coming over to check out my book. So, you know what? It'd probably be easier if I go over, maybe, on the bed. Let me unmute the other camera. See if I... That one. Okay. So you guys can hear me, right? Cool. Okay, cool. All right. All right, so these are the names of all of them. Everything you see here were gifts from Fairy. Even these little seeds. In fact, these little seeds were arranged in, they look just like a dragonfly when they're arranged on. I tried getting it in there. It's kind of like this is the head here, and this is the wing here, and the tail here. I tried putting tape on it to pull it off the counter and put it in the book. They like to draw themselves. This is crazy. Good luck. Petrel did this one. This is our leprechaun, and this is how tiny they're. Little tiny ones. And I swear these are boom, boom. Lycan always draws himself. That's the one that I showed you that had the hat on. He always draws himself with a red hat. This is more fairy energy here again. This is Gazelle and Katrina here. I was playing with this. I was just playing with the colors just because I wanted to see what are you. So that was me doing that. But again, here they are. Here, the beautiful little beings with little notes because we leave them up. Here they are. Here's their ages. I'm sorry, Katrina is 800 and Gazelle is 300. Boy, I was really off on those dates. This appeared. This was the very first thing besides the rose petals disappearing that we realized. Oh my God, there's fairies in the house. My 2-year-old couldn't draw that. My 2-year-old, I put her to bed and I left her crayons and paper on the floor and I went to go pick up her mess and this was drawn on there and it says goodbye for now, love. That's what it says. My 2-year-old can't write, and especially that small. Okay, this is the fairy energy I was telling you about. This is 10 feet tall. Okay, so their energy, they can be and present themselves any way they want. And there's actually more mystical beings in here too, these 3 places here. Oh, actually, right here. Sorry, that was a tree. Right here. There's actually another being here. You can see it, it's bent over. Hecate sometimes shows herself like that. We had a Zen garden. They used to like to draw in the Zen garden. Again, this is more fairy energy. This is Katrina and Gazelle again here. And here's some more. Trying to get that. Just trying. But anyway, this is a picture that I drew. But they draw pictures. And the funny thing is that my youngest one that's in chat right now, she used to tell me, she's 2 years old at the time, and she used to tell me about how we'd go flying on a dragonfly in her dreams at night, and they drew this. So they were like validating, yes, that was real. These are more drawings. This is actually Petrel. This is, when you see the big writing, that's me writing good night, and this is actually his handwriting over here. He writes his E's upside down. It's really weird right here. My brother wants to meet you. His name is Seamus Petrel. He's got his E up right here, but sometimes he writes his E's upside down. Oh, right here. See, hello. Looks like a G. Their writing's bigger, of course, and this is, and I've showed you them already, which is Petrel and Seamus coming out from behind the tree. But this is where I told you the invisible being was. It starts here, and he's got right here, he's got his hand on his hip. So they do go invisible, of course, and they hide from us. Again, they drew this, and they drew this. Sarah actually saved a willow tree from being cut down, and they thanked her for it, which is kind of crazy. And this is more fairy here. This is another picture of a house plant. So as you see that these things are all through, this is in the back apartment in my house. They drew these pictures. These are not child drawings. These are real. This is going to get crazy, guys. We were contacted by a mermaid. Look at this. They even gave us a shark's tooth. That's insane. The biggest thing they gave us was a gigantic conch shell. I have it still. It's in my bathroom right now as we speak. They always draw these, and they tell me that water's a gateway. So that's what that represents, is water gateway. And again, like I said, remember, you saw the one with the green and the yellow. They draw themselves in color all the time. It's just so crazy. These are more pictures. I'm probably duplicating here. There's another drawing that they did here. Here's another shark's tooth here. This is a meditation I actually did with a mermaid for the first time. And yes, you can meditate with them. They call us our humans. She sings, by the way. We actually had a recording of her at one time, and she was actually singing. Sorry, my glasses were falling down. These are 3 other ones that contacted us. Their names are in the beginning of the book as well. Can't even read that. It's so small. Jira, that's Jira, Bella, and I can't quite see that one. I think that's Rosetta. Hannah, my youngest that's in chat, they always draw her with a crown on her head. Who was the orange fairy? Faye. And then let's see here. I'm asking, who is this in the picture? Is this Hannah? And she says, yes, she is our princess, is what they wrote. So they always draw her with a crown. And it's so funny because my daughter would tell me how she would have these dreams at night. And they drew all these pictures. But just to show you, these are all the letters and notes and everything. It just goes on. I have to really start working on this book some more. And there's a piece of bark that they've given me and more writing in here. Hannah did that, and that's so funny because she was about 2 years old when she drew this picture, and she drew herself with a crown, and she drew herself with a fairy next to her. And I kept this picture. Hannah, I bet you don't even know I have that picture. See, look, Hannah. She even wrote her name, Hannah. So that's pretty crazy that she drew the fairy with her and the crown on her head. So that's kind of cool there. And I just want to show you one more thing. My drum. You have to see my drum. This is crazy. Showing all your outlets. All right. So let's see here. So the dragon I drew, the fairy and the moon I drew, but all these other drawings I did not. The mermaid, again, there's the whirligig in the water. Oh, there's Lake in there. See that? He draws himself with a red hat. That's the one you saw sitting on the grass. And that's his voice you heard. But keep in mind, their voice, we're hearing it with human ears. We're not hearing them for what they really sound like. This is Pilly. This is my fire elemental. She always draws her shoes up like that, and her wings are flames. Patel and Seamus, and the funny thing is they drew themselves with the little crooked shillelaghs in their hands. So that's kind of crazy. And they always call me Milady, and it says, hello, Milady, right there. So you can believe this stuff or you cannot believe this stuff, but this is my magical life, and this is all I wanted to share with you guys, because this is pretty special stuff. Let me go back over here and unmute. Mute again. Okay. Here I am. So I'm going to jump over the chat because I've been really rude. So, see, you remember seeing that, Hannah? That's awesome. That makes me so happy. I'm so happy you're here. I haven't seen my daughter. She was actually here visiting me last year, and I didn't, actually earlier this year, and I didn't get to see her because I came down with COVID and that stunk, and I didn't get to hug and kiss my daughter. So this really means a lot to me that she's here tonight with us. I really want to thank you all for listening to my stories. Let me turn my light back on here. There we go. Now, if you watch over my bed, there's a lot of activity going on right now. Oh, there they go. Look at them all. Look at them all. Oh my God. So look at them all. They're going crazy. Look. Oh my God. They're awesome. So I'm not asking you to believe in these beings, but I will say one thing. Thank you for having an open mind and just listening to my crazy stories in my crazy life. And these beings can be a part of your life. If you wish to have them, just ask for the Tuatha Dé Danann, the Sealy Court, okay, and invite them. Good night, Chris. Thank you for hanging, sweetheart. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you next week. We're doing it on Krampus next week. Ooh, 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 Krampus. So anyway, so by having an open mind, that's all I ask. Because, when you don't have an open mind, you're shutting the soul's about the experience and the opportunities. And when you shut your no, that's not how it is. That's not how it is. When people ask me, what do you believe in? I say, I believe in everything. And then I check off my list. No, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. Because I don't want to deny myself any experience or closing a door that was meant to be open for me. So thank you all for being such amazing people and sharing all of this with me here tonight. This really is something that's very, very near and dear to my heart. I don't take this lightly. It took me almost 18 years to come out with this, because this is a very sensitive subject for us, because it is very dear to us. So I have linked below, if you want to know what fairies like or what their behaviors are. Some of them can be extremely playful. So you have to be very in a good mood to hang out with them. They don't like people that are sad and miserable all the time. So if you want fairies in your life, think happy thoughts. Put out cake, put out cream, butter, whatever. But again, I've linked everything down below. So feel free to, if you want to continue on your quest to know about the elementals. And like I said, next week is Krampus. So get ready for Krampus. And I'd like to thank you all, Jasmine, my mod, for being here tonight, and Sarah and Shane and Chris. I know he's gone now. And anybody else that has come in here tonight. Even the hot girls are here, dude. So anyway, I thank you all for coming here tonight. If you can please just like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because I'm trying to get my content out there and really get people to see our lovely things. So God bless, and remember, you keep shining that light. Shine, shine, shine.